couple silly season little news updates for you. Kaulig, their program starting to become starting to have more light shed on their Truck Series program. Daniel Dye and Justin Haley announced as full-time drivers. They did make it official that they will, quote, pause their Xfinity program. So no Xfinity there. Not sure if Christian Eckes will drive one of those trucks. But a nice little, almost a false flag from Chris Race about a week or two ago says, I don't know if we're going to have room for Haley in the trucks, but Justin Haley going to drop down to the Truck Series there. Race with Daniel Dye and Butterbean Queen. And, of course, say what you want about Dye, but for Haley in general, I mean, it's kind of like when you saw JHN drop back down to the trucks and guys like that, where you step down a series, but it should be a competitive enough ride. He could very well be the number one driver for that program and an opportunity that he'll enjoy going out there, and he may even be up there as a title favorite depending on how these Ram trucks can adjust.
Yeah, I would love to see Justin Haley get in a full-time Xfinity ride and something competitive. But I think this is probably the next best option, right? We don't know exactly what those Ram trucks are going to be, but if they're halfway decent, I think Justin Haley's a guy that you will be betting in matchups. You will be continuing to take a shot on him in top fives occasionally as well, specifically at the super speedways, right? So he's still a really good driver. I think he fits better in these lower tier 2 series. Just, if you want to be competing in a weekend to week 8 out basis, but excited for what Haley can do. And Daniel Dye, let's not forget a guy that we've hit a couple long shots on. I think we had an 8-1 top 10 on him earlier this season at a track or two. So I was really impressed what he did with Kaulig this year. And, honestly hung with someone who I think a lot of people would consider a much better prospect there in that program there in the Xfinity series in Christian Eckes.
Yeah, personally for Dye, I feel like the expectations they're comfortably low on him. We'll say, of course, he's a talented driver, earned his Xfinity ride, but I don't think anyone is surprised if he doesn't win next year, especially with a new team, new manufacturer. Mm-hmm. So if he does get a win, and locks himself into the Truck Series playoffs or points, whatever it'll be next year, it'll be a plus. Where I think for Haley, the pressure is going to be kind of on to you need to at least win a race and keep yourself in that conversation. And he may be one of those guys that just sticks in the Kaulig family now. We saw it with AJ Allmendinger. Feels like Kaulig saved his career. He's loyal to the Kaulig racing team now. I feel like it could be the same with Haley because he does have an avenue back to Cup. The 2 Cup rides right now, AJ Allmendinger, older driver. By the time Haley and Ram and everything gets set up to move to Cup with Kaulig, Allmendinger could be in the twilight of his career, no longer wanting to run full-time. And Ty Dillon, I feel like, is a kind of year-to-year guy. I don't even know if he's certainly signed for 2026, but a guy who certainly, I feel like at the drop of a hat, unless it's money that's a big issue, which was part of why Haley isn't in the 7. But if money's not a big issue, Haley getting back in the Cup Series basically as soon as possible isn't out of the realm of possibility either.
It certainly is. And, this is a guy who has won a Cup Series race. We can't forget about that, Elliot. And at the same time, came pretty dang close to winning another one at Chicago a few years back.
Not to mention Daytona in August. He was
good point.
Line there. So that'll be fun to watch. In terms of Cup Series silly season, that may be one of our late winter, early spring shows before Daytona. Not for this winter, but next winter, silly season is set to be crazy. There could be a lot of mixing and matching there that could lead to some of these guys back in Cup. Harrison Burton, another guy, probably wouldn't hate being back in the Cup Series, you would say, right? He and AM Racing parting ways because he'll be full-time with Sam Hunt Racing in 2026, driving that 24 with Dean Thompson in the 26. Maybe a little better than a lateral move. I feel like Sam Hunt is a little more established, a little more funding there, gets Burton back in the Toyota pipeline there at Sam Hunt. And again, a guy who you expect to run pretty well and probably you're going to be looking for a win out of him as well next year.
Yeah, definitely interesting to see HB head back to the Yoder camp. I think it makes sense when you kind of see where Ford's Xfinity Series program has been going. But honestly, I'm excited for this, man. Sam Hunt, again, I have my choice words with you occasionally. Yeah, I was pretty heavy a bet on Christopher Bell heading to Mexico, and they blew up once again. So that's what we've kind of had to deal with Sam Hunt over the years. But at the same time, man, what Harrison Burton was able to do and take that AM Racing team from the bottom of the standings all the way into the playoffs shows a lot of grit, man. I mean, did he ever have race-winning speed? That's debatable. But was he a pretty dang, consistent top 10 car? Absolutely. So if we continue to see top 10 markets in 2025, I think Harrison Burton is someone we will be looking at there. And maybe even now this maybe starts opening up the top 5 and maybe even the outright market to him once again.
Yeah, I mean, he's had his decent runs at tracks, won the pole last week at Martinsville. So we know HB's got some speed in there. probably becomes the lead driver. I mean, no offense to Dean Thompson, but HB a little better resume there. On the Xfinity side as well, we know with Carson Kvapil, a couple weeks ago, it was announced he would be splitting the one car with Connor Zilic. They have now worked it out to where Carson Kvapil, one way or another, will be full-time in the O'Reilly Series next year. Details to be determined, but we do know they will not all be in that one car, but all of the equipment will be JRM prep. So we've heard the rumors with Carruth, could be a Jordan Anderson car. Alpha Prime's supposed to move to Ford, so maybe they're not an option. But in any case, regardless of where the races ended up, we know he's going to have JRM equipment every week, and we know that he'll run full-time. A guy who's in the championship for, it was that good playoff run that gave him this opportunity. He's a kid who should be full-time, and I'm glad that all worked out for him.
Yeah, I am too, man. And it's been a season for Carson Kvapil, at least from a betting standpoint, Elliot, where a little bit disappointing here and there, right? Like, we go back to Dover, we smash him because that's what he did the year before. And I don't know if it just wasn't like always seeing like the consistency out of him. Like, we went to a road course earlier this year. This guy was beating Connor Zilic, right? We go to other road courses, really kind of a no-show at some of those. But still, all in all, with one race to go here, 7 top 5s, 14 top 10s as well. So been consistent, hasn't led a ton of laps, but still finds himself here in the championship for as a rookie, which hats off to him. Hats off to his father who raised him, the entire family who has really given their life to racing. And, of course, Dale Jr. and company and Kelly over there who have put this kid in a position to succeed. I believe TJ Majors has been a big part of his development as well. So great to see this from Carson Kvapil. Glad he will once again be back with Junior Motorsports. As you said, he deserves this ride, and excited to see what's to come in 2026. He'll be someone else, hopefully, that maybe with Connor Zilic out of the series full time, we can continue to bet him and maybe even more in those top 5 and outright markets.
Yeah, you keep in mind the fact that Zilic is out, and I believe that Eric Almirola, I don't know what his plans are, but the rumors, if you listen to Door Bumper Clear, are that ride will have a full-time driver next year to go along with the other full-timers. So that takes away a lot of wins that could be going to guys like Carson Kvapil. The kid's still learning how to race, still learning how to win, and he's got time to do that, and he'll be able to do it in good equipment, working with a good crew chief and Rodney Childers the majority of the races as well. On the truck side, Layne Riggs officially back in the 34 truck for Front Row next year. Not really a surprise, but just important to mention, because especially if another Corey Heim deserves to be full-time somewhere, if he's not, Layne Riggs probably your title favorite on the truck side next year.
Yeah, I think it is. And, we talk about disappointments for the championship 4. Layne Riggs not making it, absolutely criminal. I mean, coming off a season where just wow, Elliot. Like, we knew this kid was talented. I took the over 2.5 wins this year at a pretty juiced number. And we got about halfway through the season. I was a little bit, suspect on that. Hey, where's the speed at? And it came quickly. It came mid-season. We saw it at Pocono. Great kid as well. Very grateful for him and his PR team giving us that exclusive interview at the hauler afterwards. I know that guy enjoys some good tequila now and then after those wins. So great to see that. And, 3 wins, 12 top 5s, 15 top 10s, and just 24 races. And, was definitely in the mix there in a couple other races. One that Carson Hocevar definitely got the best of him towards the end of it. So I think Layne Riggs would become the championship favorite. And I think a guy that, over under 3.5 win total next year for Layne Riggs. Let's say Corey Heim is back. Would you go the over on that?
If Heim's back, maybe. I was enthusiastically giving the thumbs up. I think I'd take the over 2.5 again, but over 3.5 is tough. But Riggs, again, a kid who's still learning how to race. It'll be his 3rd full-time year in the truck series. Maybe he really does break out next year. We know the Front Row trucks are good. Chandler Smith going to be back as well in the 38, I believe. And he won a couple races this year as well. So definitely nothing to sneeze at over there at Front Row on the truck side.
Yeah, they are going to continue to be really dominant here. I mean, Chandler Smith, pretty hit or miss down the stretch, opened up hot, a guy who was on an absolute heater. But this will be a team that we are continuing to talk about year in and year out in the truck series, which is great, given all the circumstances surrounding this team, specifically on the Cup side right now.
Yeah, good point. They may just have to downsize to just a truck team next year. We'll have to see.